Alright, this is OK here, and we are following the latest Crazyhouse Candidates match between International Master Bugzilla from Australia and the mystery candidate doganswer. Now, a player like doganswer, 2500 almost, would completely crush me. So I'm going to look at this match with the point of view of how would I beat a player like doganswer? What are the moves that Bugzilla finds that I'm not seeing? So that's the sort of... So he takes the knight. So if you take the knight, he must have a purpose for that knight. And there's always an idea, if you can deflect this knight, then this will fall, because you have this check. That would be a use for the knight, but what's the purpose of the knight? So that was interesting. Why take the knight? And I see why now, because he was worried if he does this immediately, white can go here. So that's why he takes the knight, not because he wants the knight, just to avoid the fork. And so he just slowly develops, castles, it's a very stable position, hides this knight away, brings it over to the king side. And interesting, he's trying to break for c5. Here I might, not sure what I'd do, but takes. Now he's got a pawn in hand. Whoa, no, it's still defended. So he just backs off. So it looks like white's still doing pretty neatly here. I'd probably do this to block off this diagonal, but he puts a pawn there instead. So what is the plan for this knight? Well, very solid. Bugzilla's style is very solid, obviously. doganswer moves into the corner, just develops this rook. This is asking to be taken because I think that would create a little bit of a weakness on g3 and also on e3, so I think that was a slight error. Sound is working, says 800 strength. Wonderful, wonderful. If you were going to stream instead, by the way, that would have been amazing also. I just thought no one else was. So I thought I'd take the opportunity to cover it at 10 o'clock this morning in the UK. So this knight was trapped. So this is a kind of neat idea, but now there's a pin on this knight. So black is at material, but white still looks pretty difficult to break down. It has to involve somehow getting underneath these pawns. Okay, so what would I play here? Yeah, just defend the knight, seems logical. And he's piling up on the pin. And you don't really want to defend here, because then h6 would get weak. Takes something. That's pretty neat, just defending, putting something on the weak square. Seems very effective. But how to resolve the pin? He doesn't try and resolve the pin, he just keeps laying pieces on the board. So doganswer takes two pieces, this knight and this bishop. He has a choice which knight to take. Okay. And Bugzilla is insisting on... Still, this is looking pretty okay for doganswer. So he's a tough guy to beat. So notice e3 is... But black doesn't have that many pieces, so it's hitting the rook and the pawn. So I was thinking bishop here keeps guard of this weak square and protects the rook. So white has pieces in hand though to begin to potentially attack with. So doganswer really just curling up into a little shell here, pretty hard to break down. And black could go hunting pawns, but then maybe white would be able to punish him. How so? The point is, if you take, this pawn replaces it and the attack continues. So this is a critical point. Can white do something in this position with two knights and a bishop in hand? And he goes for it, just going very aggressive. Doesn't take. Wow. Well, looks like well, it looks like white is taking over here, even though white is a queen for a piece down. But what's the pawn situation? Oh, you can block with the pawn. Yeah, things are looking... That's looking dangerous. So, knight takes rook, bishop takes pawn is coming. Why not knight takes rook? Don't entirely get it. And he could have just taken knight takes f6. I don't understand. But with 20 seconds on the clock, things are difficult. You don't want to give... Yeah, okay, but surely white is doing well here. Takes, put a pawn back. Black doesn't have a pawn to defend. So how do I beat a player like doganswer? Well, not so easy. Got to find some trickery here. Okay, queen takes rook is actually a problem. So he defends, but suddenly, where is what? Quite hard to defend. He has to do something like bishop at g2, but then takes rook here looks like it's mating. Queen takes rook looks like it's mating is the problem. And white resigns. It looked like he had such a promising position there, and then suddenly it all collapsed. So here, takes, here, and this position is there. Black is crashing. So that was just a brilliant, yeah. There's no way of defending. Was there something earlier? Yeah, I mean, so with knight takes rook, knight takes rook. Yeah, knight takes rook is crashing. Knight takes rook, knight takes to try and defend here. But then apparently knight takes 6 going for here. And if we just sort of do something like to defend like this, rook at f8. Rook at f8, and there's and black has no blockers, so he'd have to do something like knight f6. But then this falls. Bishop at e6, and there's nothing you can do. So king here, you're winning the queen. So just it was a very simple win from doganswer with simply knight takes rook. So okay, let's go to game 2 before we miss any more action. So Bugzilla, how do you win against doganswer? You haven't answered our question yet. Hi there, Bakus. Elementary, my dear Watson. Sorry, I missed the context. Okay, so Bugzilla is very strong, but doganswer is obviously tough player as well. So it looks like there'll be a queen trade, a potential queen trade. So both sides really want to attack, and it's a question of who can attack first. And the threat here was at h7, knight at. So if black just trades, oh my goodness, this just happened too quickly. Gosh, sorry guys. So in this position here, if black just takes the queen instead of putting the pawn here, the problem is there are all these at h7 threats. So if black just takes the queen here, takes back, I was thinking at h7, knight at g5 is a threat, and how does black defend against the threat? So queen at e8, does that defend against the threat? Why can't we still do this? We can go king h8. Okay, so he defends for a little while, but he can't. The point is he can't just take back this pawn or something, because then at h7 is well then that's a bit more obvious actually. Okay, so this position here is bad for black, which is why he tries to counterattack. But what happened was taking on f7, and why can't the rook take? Because then the queen is hanging, so this is kind of awkward. So the king took, then the queens are exchanged. Okay, this is really bad, and we saw this sort of situation: takes, and checkmate. Okay, so how did that all happen in the opening? Very simple, really. Just opens up the D file. Just crushing. Okay, I really need to get back to the live action. Sorry. Okay, looks like there are no pieces on the board here. Okay, since when is this a live coverage? I'm just missing every game. What just happened? Okay, let's look at game 3. I'm going to play this quickly. Okay, so we see the same line as in game 1, so that's easier to see. And we're putting pressure on the pin. He's getting 2 pieces and a fork. So 2 pawns for a piece and a fork. And he's picking up a rook with check, and he's picking up a queen, and that was just absolutely crushing. Okay, so let's see what happens this time. Now remember, in game 2, there was an open D file, which is a real problem. So he tries to open up the D file. So he tries to... nope, a different strategy this time. So this move, and it's white to play. Sorry, now we're back up to the live action. It was all because we wanted to see how doganswer could win game 1 with knight takes rook, and then we missed game 2, which happened very quickly with the open D file, and bishop takes f7 was crushing. And then game 3 just worked his way into the position. How am I, says Bugzilla? Yeah, I'm okay. So Ganesh, the real Ganesh, has been streaming all the candidates matches. So I'll just give you the link. So, and also I've been pretty busy myself, but it's 10 o'clock in the morning, so I can spare an hour in the morning to cover this match. Okay, so, and how are you, Bugzilla? I know you are going to take a break from your previous job, relax, enjoy yourself for a little. So how's that going? Oh, that hasn't happened yet. Okay. I'm going to back up a second. Just back up a second. So like, we have a stable position here, very stable position. He's won a piece for a pawn. He's got 2 pawns for the piece, but now giving up a pawn. And it looks like, again, he's going for that queen trade, but does it benefit him? Who's safer? So just knight takes bishop, what's the problem? So this is keeping the structure. Okay, so I guess the problem is rook takes pawn e7. If rook doesn't take, still pawn at e7. So he just has to go rook takes. And white doesn't even go pawn at e7. So I think black is fine. I feel black is fine here. How is white going to break down this position? We're going to find out. I'm imagining stuff like just going in, takes, pawn here, but slightly dangerous because now black's got lots of bishops and knights and pawns of his own to begin an attack. So I think black is winning this. So what does white do? So in this kind of position, you have to say whose attack is faster. And you have to do those moves which accelerate your attack as fast as possible. So maybe knight d7. It could be knight d7 was a critical mistake, but anyway, we'll see after the game. You have to find the fastest attack. So here, of course, the threat was just pick up the knight with the check. So bishop is good, I think, rather than pawn. So if knight takes bishop, bishop takes still provides backwards coverage. So black is staying solid. Yeah, I expected this. So if this pawn at e7, and the question is there a faster attack somewhere? the point is pawn here just takes, pawn here just takes, and the knight is providing coverage. And then take here. Also pawn here, yeah, so takes, pawn here, but pawn here feels like a faster attack. Takes, takes, but you have to defend. Yeah, okay, so of course you had to take, because knight takes rook was coming with check, so you have to take immediately. So I think pawn at f3 is coming too quickly. Okay, rook takes knight. So pawn f3 is still coming, and the point is take and knight here is the threat. It's such a fast attack. So takes, knight here, for example. Then the attack gets slowed down if you're forced to take a silly old queen on g2. That will slow your attack down. Because you'll have a knight on g2, but you'll have so much material, and white surely can't mate you with just a knight in hand. So that seems to do the trick. So just knight here, pawn here, will surely do the trick. So what is this move? I just don't get it. Oh, I see. If knight takes, it's cutting off the defense of g1, okay, and if rook takes, it's also cutting off the defense of g1 because you take. So pretty neat move actually there from doganswer. I like it. The simple threat is queen at g1, and so he just has to take. He just has to go queen, as well as of course bishop at f3. So he just has to go queen takes. Oh, that's interesting. An interesting approach. Unfortunately, he can just take this one, and you can't take back, I don't think. Okay, the problem is doganswer's got 30 seconds to figure this out. I think he's got this. That's a pretty neat approach. So the simple idea is queen at g1 mate. Bugzilla with 20 seconds. So it looks like doganswer is getting his first win in this match. Queen here is mate. So the score should be 2-2 if doganswer just won the first game, just picked up that rook, as we saw. Bugzilla really didn't have anything, but that game, nicely played. Neat little idea to finish, but obviously I think the problem in that game is Bugzilla attacked. I think he attacked in the wrong way with knight at e7 instead of pawn at e7. If we just look at that critical position with knight at e7, I thought white was doing fine here with pawn at e7. So we just go pawn at e7. And apparently it's a bit of a problem because black just attacks. Black's attack is very fast, apparently. If we take pawn at f2, draws the king out, and then bishop at c5 takes here. So that's and if we ignore, if we just go straight in, takes, bishop takes, and then take. So apparently this add f2 is a bit of a problem. So it's not necessarily mating immediately, but it's a bit of a problem. So the correct approach was knight at g4 to defend f2 with attacking intent. And it's a pretty double-edged position. So, okay, difficult position. Back to the game. Sorry, back to the game. Don't want to miss the live action again. And Bugzilla is black. Are we going to see a repeat of this line? The bishop dropping back and then taking. So he provokes h3 and then takes, which seems kind of pointless because h3 is good for white. Oh, okay, so white makes a mistake here. Knight e2 and then castles is a mistake because he's fallen for a trap. If knight takes, and then you drop the knight on e2, picking up the queen. So doganswer realizes he's lost a pawn for free, so he decides to give the queen for 2 pieces. He still lost that pawn though. So he gets 2 pieces for a queen and a pawn, and it's with only a pawn and queen in hand, Bugzilla is going straight for an offensive. And doganswer, what is he doing? That's a very creative move. So you can't take it, or bishop at g6 picks up the rook. So he just does this, and bishop at g6 comes. There's a nice fork. Ooh. What an interesting game, this. Because now queen at h2 is the threat, so you kind of have to take it, but then your king side gets completely wrecked. But you can't defend this square. So that was a brilliant move. It looked so promising at this point. But check. What should he have done? King here, maybe? But then knight takes pawn simply. So bishop takes pawn. Crushing. This is just all over, because it'll be knight takes check next. And if you ever step here, it's knight takes rook with check. But if you step here, we have a pawn in hand to push you to here. Then we can take the rook with check. And I'm not seeing all the way to mate, but with another pawn in hand and a queen in hand, still got that knight at g3 is a problem. Knight at g3 is coming. We're going to lose the rook with check. Okay, this is a good defensive move though. So after this, bishop will cover some squares. Okay, simply renews this, and there's no blocker. So you have to do this. Might as well play it immediately, because there's literally no other move you can play. Oh! I missed that. Okay, sorry. Doganswer finding moves I'm not seeing, and then also finding takes, and a fork. He couldn't, going all the way back, that came with check, but he never had time to exploit that fork, because he kept on having to defend. But now he does, and white is so safe, I think. Takes, and Bugzilla is in some trouble. I think. Or is he? Well, certainly white is safe, but maybe white is queen down. Yeah, white needs material, so he's just trying to go for, put a pawn here, just try and pick up some material, because yeah, white is like a whole queen down here. So he's desperate to try and make something happen. So he probably wants this, takes, and this. That's sort of the long, if you could play several moves at once. So what does Bugzilla do? How does he create his own attack with all these pieces in hand? I'm thinking bishop here, but then just simply pawn here. But then at least he picks up the knight. Well, okay, pawn here is coming first. The question is, can you ignore that? Yeah, so pawn there, bishop here, that's the problem. There's no defense. Ah, that's the problem for Doganswer. Bishop here, pawn here. Bishop takes knight. He had no time to play at g6, at b6. Wonderful. Okay, let's look closer. How is Bugzilla going to finish this? There's not many pieces, but what a nice fortress Doganswer has. It's just going to take all the pieces, isn't he? Takes, the queen defends, any knight check, and the plan is just put a rook on the back rank. Bugzilla is just eating up all the... Oh, and I missed that knight check. But white has no pieces. So just this. Takes the rook, he's hoping for... I'm not sure what. Yeah, you've got to be careful. Rook here is mate. So magnet, drawing the king out. If king goes... Queen at g1 is a mate threat, so you have to take it. Knight here seems sensible. Queen takes pawn. Queen here and promote is checkmate. Yes. Pretty mate from Bugzilla. So with that, he takes a 4-1 lead at the halfway stage. Okay, so we have the sort of King's Indian setup from black, but this obviously prevents his knight moving to the square, so the knight will be developing to here, you know. We know. And no pawns have been traded. Pawn comes here. We saw takes, and push last time, and we see this again. And black using that pawn straight away to attack with. The mistake the first time round was takes, and the d file opened, and that was a real problem for black. So black's learnt his lesson not to open up that d file. You don't want to lose the defender of your king. It's a slight. So this doesn't quite do anything. I mean, the problem with this, I feel like there are too many weaknesses around that king, whereas the white king is actually defended well with the queen on f1 or a bishop on f1. So we're going to get this d file opening, and honestly, this is game over. This is absolutely game over. At h7 comes, it's just game over. You can sidestep, but just takes here then next. I mean, there are just too many threats here, too many pieces bearing down on this king. So, oh, sorry, you don't have time for pawn takes bishop because queen here is a mate threat. So he's going for this. No, what's he going for? He's going for the mate. Is there a mate? I'm suddenly worried. Is there no mate here? So with a pawn and a rook, okay, we're going to bring another knight in. And we only have a pawn and a rook in hand. Uh-oh. And now we've got a bishop as well. So we've got knight, king here, bishop. Ooh. I mean, the problem is he can take the knight. Scary position. How do we mate with the pawn and a bishop? There's a knight, king here, and there's always knight here if we want to draw. King here, and then that would probably, there'd probably be a rook here. King here, there's probably a mate. The knight would be cutting off these two squares. Ooh, has he found something? So the idea is if king here, knight here, and pawn here is checkmate, and if king here, pawn here, and knight here is checkmate. So the king has to come up. I think he found something here. So pawn, let's see, pawn here, rook here is forcing the king to here, and then bishop here is forcing the king to here, and then something here is checkmate. Yeah, he's found it. Oh, with the rook. Oh, not with the. He has no bishop. He didn't save the bishop. Oh, I wanted a bishop for here to stop the king running. Oops. Oh dear. King here. Oh. Is that enough? So if king here, bishop here, king here, pawn here, king here, bishop here. Okay, so you can't go there. Okay, that does it. So he has to go here, but then you just got pawn here. No. No. Ha, I can't see it. Okay, so king here, king here. Oh, the other rook comes in. Come on, this is easy. The other rook comes in. And you can block, but you just go check, takes, and takes. Yeah, that's the one. Yep, Chuck Moulton in the chat, Bughouse. If you want to follow the Bughouse World Championship, everyone go follow Chuck Moulton. Bakuz says, "Come on, brave king, you can do it." No, unfortunately he can't. Hi there, quietly sleeping cow. Run in circles. Yeah, the king wants to run in circles, but unfortunately there's another rook, which is going to... I'm going to show the... I think pawn and bishop was much easier, so I'll just show the line. He had to work for this one. Chasing the king round the board. So yeah, block, check, takes. Oh, that's another way of doing it, yes. So just want to quickly show in this position, if you don't use a bishop, I'm hoping this is correct, at g5, king h5, rook h7, king g4. Oh, so bishop at h3 doesn't work because the king gets away. Bishop at h3 doesn't work? Oh, king takes knight. Oops. Okay, so apparently rook here, and king takes knight doesn't work because the king is stuck on this rank and gets mated. So you has to go king f5, but then at least you've got a bishop to cut the king off from running back. And the king has to come forward, and then there are many options. Rook here and take here, or knight e2, check, king here, and then rook here. So, okay. But the way he did it was pretty neat as well, actually, to be honest. But just had to chase the king around a bit. Rook e4, rook e7, rook d8, very pretty. And of course the king has to go here and then takes here. Beautiful finish from Bugzilla. 5-1. And we have, again, the safe setup. Ooh, queen sack from Bugzilla. Knight takes, surprising, because leaves g2 sensitive. So who's doing better here? White has a pawn just to plug g2 whenever he wants. But black has a lot of pieces for that queen. A pawn, a knight, a bishop, and a rook. Hi there, Tan2608. Well, we're witnessing two of the top Crazyhouse players in the world in the candidates. Bugzilla, probably the slight favourite, well, significant favourite. But doganswer's got one game off him. Probably should have got another. Just chilling. Uh-oh. Okay. Things are if you have to trade along your weaknesses, that's a sign things are going badly. Usually. Hi there, Jagdish Singh and Anya. Okay. You see how black is trying to trade along the weaknesses. He doesn't even want to trade with the bishop because he wants to keep the diagonals in hand. He wants to take, maybe even take here, take and put a bishop here. So he wants to have bishops to control all of these weak light squares around doganswer's king. And this is just not a problem. You can give it, but no. Bugzilla doesn't want to give anything. He's like, no, I'm not even going to give you a knight. I think that's, yeah, Bugzilla is very good at squeezing the opponent. You can just go knight here. So it blocks the queen's defense of h3 and also defends e8. That looks solid. And he does it. So we'll see if we can predict Bugzilla's moves. Because if we can predict Bugzilla's moves, then maybe we can beat someone like doganswer one day. Okay, so I want this. This, and this. But knight first. With the check as well. So, looks good. Unless this is a problem, but this I can just take, I guess. But then this f3 is not so strong. but you don't want to give up bishop for a knight. You want to keep control of this diagonal. So it's a good move, this. He wants to go knight takes c7 with check. But this is check first. So takes. I think his idea is if bishop takes, he's got knight takes e7. But maybe we just sidestep. No, we don't sidestep because bishop g8 would come. It's not. Yeah, so this is a problem. What does he do? He does bishop takes. Bishop takes. I don't understand it. So it's a mate threat. I see. So if knight takes, you just take it back, and there's a mate threat. So that's why white has to take back. See, he's ignoring f3. He's going straight for g2 h1. That was a very, yeah, I didn't see that. This is why I'm not as good as Bugzilla. I was still thinking about f3, because f3 was the focus earlier. And knight e7 was somehow deflecting from f3. And if you go here, there's knight takes g6. If you go here, there's bishop here. Knight takes g6. Ah, wow, he just deflects the queen and beautiful mate. Hope you guys saw that. Just showing that final position. Knight takes f3, queen takes f3, rook at f1, king h2, rook h1, checkmate. And it's all with checks. Okay, we're going to see this line again, which doganswer's been struggling with. So Bugzilla is 6-1 up, but he hasn't found a good solution to this. He tried this last time, it didn't work because of this, and replace. So what to do? Offer a draw, pawn at e7. So if you just take, replace. Takes, replace. Stay solid. It looks very passive, obviously. It's not what you necessarily want to play, but what else do you do? This didn't work. So he needs to find something else. And back off, maybe. But then this at f6? Not sure. You have to keep the d file closed. I mean, that was clear. In game 1 and in the last game, so game 7, he allowed the d file to get opened, and the point is the black king is less safe. Okay, so are we going to see takes, pawn here, or is something else? No, we could just take here and pawn here. Maybe. So take here first, but then pawn takes pawn. Maybe it takes here first. Or maybe knight. Maybe takes, bishop takes, and knight here. Yes, I got the first move. Takes h3 for sure, says the lone wolf. Right, yeah, you don't want to get this pawn landing on g2. Quietly Sleeping Now says that pawn is so annoying. No, but just knight g4 or knight at g4. So bishop takes h2, just knight at g4. What are you going to do then? And if pawn at g2, just take the bishop. If bishop takes rook, just queen takes. Say it's all defended. And we have counter ideas on f7 and f6. So knight at g4, obviously, because the queen is hitting. Yeah, so knight at g4, pawn at g2, takes the bishop, takes the rook, queen takes, and everything is secure at least. Oh, what is he doing? What is he doing? Actually, it's not so bad, is it? Yes, it is bad. Surely it's bad. So he thinks, black thinks the queen trade benefits him. Because after all, bishop takes h3 is a mate in 1 threat. The problem is that I think... yeah, this is just not going to work. See, even though there's no mate in 1 for white, there's like a mate in 8 or something here, if bishop takes h3. How does it go? It goes something like we saw last time. You just add h7, queen g1. I wouldn't be. Okay, we're going to just watch for the mate and 8 now. Okay, bishop f7 to start. Yeah, Saxeter and Lone Wolf both say that the queen trade just suits white, basically. Although at h7, as everyone was saying in the chat, white is first, as Oppa says in the chat. White plays first. White has the mate, but he should have done at h7 first. I mean, juice build is brutal. Queen here check, trying to take the bishop, so it's going to be a queen block, and then what? So, oh, very creative. So he wants to take the bishop with check, and then to take the queen with the knight, which defends against the mate. This is very creative. And Dog Answer is in a pickle. What to do? You can't even take back this bishop with the queen because of the pins. So he just goes for this. Takes, and knight takes queen is simple. Knight takes queen is very simple. Knight takes queen is very simple indeed. Don't need to be fancy here. There is bishop here check and trying to go for doesn't. It's just there's no point being fancy though. He goes fancy. He could lose now because oh, has he seen the mate? What? I don't get it. Well, why didn't he play at h7? Wasn't at h7 just checkmate? Oh, because the queen is defending. Yep. Okay. Ignore me. Yeah. So just backing up a second, I was like saying, whoa, why isn't at h7 mate? Oops, queens can move backwards. Okay, so he just takes the queen, just a huge sack. Black has no material to get a mate, just with bishops and one knight. One knight isn't enough. f3. You can just take it, but yeah, just take everything. Yeah, people are saying in chat, I was missing queen takes h7. Yes, I was. Very callous. Okay, but I'll just quickly show the mate in 8 after the queen trade. This position, it's mate in 8 here. Stockfish can't see it, but I promise you it's mate in 8. At h7, told you, mate in 8. Okay, it was mate in 9 then. If you take h7, you really are finished because knight at g5 and queen at h7 is checkmate. So you have to sidestep, and then queen at g8 takes, king takes, and then bishop takes f7. And if this, then this, and at e7, king takes e7, rook at f7 here, and knight at c7 is the mate in 8. But it turns out king h8 will be a mate in 9 apparently, according to the engine, because of this bishop at f8. He's trying to get away, so you take the bishop to get an extra diagonal, you put a rook on g8, king h7, you put a knight on f6, and we have now 3 diagonals in hand. Okay, so it wasn't to get an extra diagonal, it was just to open up the G file. Okay, so it was a nice mate in 9, and the strong chat saw it. Okay, so we saw this line a lot, and Dog Answer is persisting with this as white, except slight variation here. Instead of fianchettoing, castling, and problems here, he's going for this instead. If this at f7 is a mate threat, but white doesn't have a pawn in hand, but are there some sneaky ideas? Like knight takes pawn, pawn takes knight, not sure. But instead, this is played, just putting pressure on d4. And that surely is, what's the idea of that? Okay, so yeah, very good point there from the Lone Wolf. If f6, bishop takes f6 This is the immediate refutation, and if you take back at f7 is checkmate. So thanks for that. So instead bishop here, but given that f6 can't be played, black's pieces are really tied up right now. He can't develop this bishop very easily. So this feels like a huge blunder, because suddenly black's development is fine. And okay, he loses a queen for a piece, but this is falling. White is very underdeveloped. This looks pleasant. Yeah, so as people said in the chat, taking on e7 is cashing in. It's cashing in your positional advantage for a material advantage, because he could then take here and take here. So the question is, could he have been more patient about developing further and then cashing in later? And Oppa says, I think taking the queen was okay earlier. So what's the situation here? So it feels like white is, yeah, so white is up material, and seems like the king is actually quite safe on, oh, it isn't so safe, because if ever a knight landed on e3, it wouldn't be so safe. But for now, the king is safe on g2. Oppa says, taking material is not so popular among Crazyhouse players. Well, this is very nice. At f6 is coming, and the point of this, oh no, at f6. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. Surely at f6 and was very beautiful. Okay, but this is very strong. At f6 comes now. How is Bugzilla going to defend this position? I don't think he will. Yeah, so people in the chat saying maybe he could have just taken the queen. So the idea of at f6, I assume, was just to follow it up with bishop g7, knight takes bishop. Looks like some desperate defending. You can always take and replace at f6. What is black doing here? Bishop h6, people are suggesting as a defensive resource. Okay, so Bugzilla, how does he defend? Or does he attack? Let's see. So the Lone Wolf was suggesting that maybe f6 could have been taken at some point. Oh, I see. Are you a diagonal short? Bishop here, king takes. Maybe it's at a different point to take, but check. Okay, so I'm not quite sure at what point to take, but okay. He sidesteps, takes the bishop, takes more material, takes bishop takes knight. This knight is also falling. What is going on here? I think Bugzilla is getting squeezed. Okay, well, we'll look at the line with takes f6 afterwards. I found that hard to believe, but ooh, yeah. As long as you got diagonals, what's the trick here? he's going to go even with the queen at g7, I think, if the rook moves. Queen at g7. Queen at g7. What is going on? Has he's run out of his attackers? He needs diagonals for g7. But black only has pawns. Okay, so no worries there. So now bishop takes g3 is also a threat. Okay, so confusing position. So starting off, this is a nasty. So we said, of course, this, ouch. So already dog answer was that's an annoying pin on this knight. Bishop at g6. So personally, I would have tried to keep the pin for longer. But takes and cash in was good, and then Oppa was suggesting just cash in on the queen, just take the material. Why not? But instead, this happened, and actually black is back in the game. He saved his queen. He's got this good pressure along this diagonal. Apparently, a bishop here is a strong move, but okay, he went for the pawn and blew things open, but he's just running a little bit short of material. So here takes at f6 was the move I was suggesting here, at f6, because the idea is if you take here, you have knight here check, king here, pawn here check, king takes pawn, and well, actually I was going to say the knight swings back and wins the queen probably with check, but actually you got knight f5, king g6, or if your king goes back, bishop here is checkmate. So that was the point I was suggesting f6, but instead he did this. But this is still very good. Check, and here at f6, knight h4, sidesteps, and what everyone was saying in the chat was that was actually an opportunity, since that knight wasn't taken, to take f6, because if bishop at g7, king takes, knight takes bishop, that was defended. Knight takes. So that was why it was so important after this move to actually take this knight. And then go to h2, and then you're fine. So a little bit of a missed chance there, and then the squeeze. Wait, just don't think was there ever another chance? No, it was just a squeeze. Was there ever queen at g7? There was, it turns out. Queen at g7. Rook takes. I suspect it's something like this. Takes, king takes, and we have enough in hand to get the mate. So knight f5 to start with. Okay, so last game of the match, and again dog answer is black, and again dog answer is persisting with this setup, which Bugzilla, if we ever play dog answer, then let's just go through it. We just grab the center, let him do his g6 e6, provoke this move. Interesting. That keeps that knight out of the game. Okay, so just get a big center, take on h6, take on f6, and then boom, open up this d5. So you can be a 1600 player. We're going to do this against dog answer and beat 2500. Okay, you then take here, try and open up the d file again, and if you takes, and f6. Okay, I thought he might go knight at g4 first, just goes at f6 straight away. Okay, nice. Then knight at g4. Now he's opening up the g. Oof, potentially. See, now you can't open up the d file because this is a mate threat. So instead, he's taking f7, and well, the black king is on the run. So people are telling me in chat, bishop takes h6 covers. Was that in the line the previous game? Did I miss something? at f6, g takes f6, knight at h6. Was that covered by a bishop? So Bugzilla leads 7-2. If white has time, that would be the move I would do. But we have to be sure we're not getting mated by... Yeah, knight h6 was not possible. Okay, I missed that. Pawn at f7, people are saying this game, but Bugzilla is winding the clock down. Takes here, and then rook at d6 is a problem, apparently. Rook at d6 with the idea of it takes, oh, you take a queen with check, you get a knight. And so you take a queen with check, and so it's game over. Yes, queen here to finish. Okay. So Bugzilla's just chilling, enjoying his position. And I'm guessing we're going to get a resigner. Nope. Uh-oh, 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 uh-oh. I'm so scared. That's the only move, because if you step back... Oh, no, pawn is not defended. Yeah, if you step back, pawn here was checkmate, because the bishop was defending. Scary stuff. And if you take here, you're losing the queen with check, and you're surely getting mated. So that was the only move. Takes. Pawn here is a problem, because there's checkmate. What is going on? What is going on? Pawn here, he has to run. Have to go with the pawn. Yep, he has to run now. What is going on? And you're losing a queen, but the king is probably getting away, is it? Bishop, king here. Takes. He's not got enough. Bugzilla is chilling. Doesn't do anything. And that's it. Just that final game. Black does have mate here, as the lone wolf said in the chat. Bishop at h3. Unbelievable. Bishop at h3 covers the knight. So it covers the escape. When you go pawn h3, he could take the knight and then take the other knight. With bishop at h3, he now can't go forward because the knights are covering all the squares coming forwards. So he has to take here, but now you have 2 pawns mates. Unbelievable. Unbelievable that Bugzilla let that slip. And then unbelievable that... what a nice little trick here. Like, taking here was... I was thinking in this position, just promote and get a knight or something. But maybe the king can be annoying. So, of course, there was the move that Oppa said. Rook at d6 was the way to play this. King can try and do this, but then you're taking here with check, and that's soon mating. And the point is, if you take here, you're winning a queen with check. So that's the rook at d6 was the way to play this. Bugzilla was just trying to chill, and he just walks into this mate in 6. Gonna star this. This is definitely one of the highlights of the Crazyhouse World Championship. Takes knight at f1, and you have to go king takes h3, because if you step back, this is checkmate. If you take here, then take here with the knight, and queen at g2 is checkmate. So you have to try and run, but that's not working, because this cutting off the escape, and these two squares are both cut. So you have to take this, but then king g2, bishop at h3. My goodness, bishop at h3, and it's checkmate. So of course, all the way back here, rook at d6 was the move. Rook at d6, as Oppa said, and you don't do that. You don't do that. You get a knight and put the queen on the board. I was thinking does queen at d6 not work? Queen d3, queen e4. Something like this. Okay, and is there a quicker mate? Apparently there is, with queen at g4. So everything, the king is actually in a box. Everything is cut off. So you just need to just keep it in a box, and then just mate it. And there we go. And so in fact, if he just does this, we've got nothing in hand, then it's a bit more complicated. You go d5 takes, another double takes. This is a great example of a double take mate. So this square is defended, this square is defended, but you still put the queen there, because if you take it, we take back, and the king's still in the box. And if you don't take it, then there's this, and it's a double take. Sorry, not this. Yeah, and this also doesn't work because of this. Okay. That was a horrible miss, says Lone Wolf. And quickly, yeah, that was quickly going back to that last game. We saw this position here where I really like this move, but if this at knight at h6 is not the answer, it's still very good for white, but then you play knight at f5. If queen takes knight, as happened in the game, knight at d7 is now mating. So that's the idea. The idea is not knight at h6, rather knight at f5 and knight at h6 next move. And it's very hard to defend. At g7 is best try. Yeah, and it's not really working. Takes, and then just take all the pieces, apparently, is the way to go. Black has nothing. So that would have been a very pretty way to play this. But doganswer won this game very nicely. So the last chance for black was in this position. For some reason at f2 gave away too much material. Key idea seems to be something like bishop at e3. So that sort of keeps control somehow. Rook h2, just to try and desperately control these squares. But okay, and in this, yeah, that way black maintains control. But at f2, black just didn't have enough material, and white takes over. Okay, well, good series, and interesting mismate at the end. So it could have been 7-3, could even have been 6-4, because if you look back at the first game, doganswer had a fairly clean win that game as well. But it's 8-2, so I'll just show you the final standings. Bugzilla against doganswer. So doganswer, this is, do I have the rights to edit this? Let's try. 2 and 8. And it automatically updates this side of things as well. 8-2. And so with that, Bugzilla, if we scroll a bit, he's on a 50. He's in competition with Zixon for 5th place, basically. Bugzilla finishes all his matches now with 59.5 points, and Zixon has to score 15 from his last 3 matches, so on average 555, and Zixon's last 3 matches will be against 264 Brock, not the finisher because the finisher's withdrawn, Clearcast, and Doganswer. So probably Zixon is favourite to take all those 3 matches, 264 Brock, Clearcast, and Doganswer. I'd say Zixon is the favourite to take those 3 matches and therefore to overtake Bugzilla and take 5th place. Blitzbullet still in pole position to take 4th or 3rd. So there you go. Katask on 90%, very impressive. Janley just with 1 match to go, and you can look forward to a stream by Ganesh on Saturday. Everyone watching, go follow Ganesh. I'm not going to raid anyone, just go follow Ganesh. He'll be streaming. Is it on Saturday or Sunday? Let me just double check. Saturday at 7 p.m. GMT is Janley against Katask. There'll also be an afternoon match, Zixon against 264 Brock. That's the matinee match at 2 p.m. GMT. And there'll also be a Sunday match between Zixon and Clearcast. So that's the table so far, just a few matches left, as you can see here. It's about 11 matches to go in the next couple of weeks. Okay, so thanks everyone for watching. Yep, hype for Janley against Katask, 1 against 2 this Saturday at 1900 UTC. If there's someone you do want me to raid, then you can let me know, but everyone should just go follow Ganesh if not. Is there someone I should raid? Okay, I'll just raid someone. Bye everyone, thanks for watching.